The Sims 4 Royalty and Legacy expansion pack is almost here, and for the first time in over a decade, players are finally getting an answer about one of the most mysterious characters in the franchise, Princess Cordelia Thebe. I got early access to the expansion pack, and I'm here to tell you that this character is not who you think she is. Questions that have lingered since The Sims 4 launched about Princess Cordelia, her connection to the Capps and Montys of Veronaville from The Sims 2, and what truly happened after Tartosa have finally been answered. And believe it or not, those answers don't just clarify her story. They officially place The Sims 4 back onto the main Sims timeline. The Sims 4 has completely revamped the family tree system, anchoring long-standing townies exactly where they belong, with names, relationships, and even deaths now lining up with lore established all the way back in The Sims 1. Today, I'm breaking down the full lore of the Kingdom of Ondarion, its ruling dynasties, its buried scandals, and the nobles and commoners whose lives are about to collide in ways that will permanently reshape Sims history. And just to be clear, none of this is speculation. Every detail we're covering is confirmed through in-game sources. If you enjoy the video and want to see more like it, please give it a like, subscribe, and drop a comment below telling me your favorite moment. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss an upload. So let's begin with the kingdom itself. The regal Kingdom of Ondarion unites 3 distinct lands, all bound by the Emerald Sea that shapes their shores. However, Ondarion has stood without a king or queen for generations. In that absence, each land has learned to govern itself. To the south lies Dambele, a land built on craftsmanship and collective responsibility. Here, prosperity is meant to be shared, and strength is measured by how well the community stands together, not who stands above it. Dambele draws from a wide range of African cultural influences, most prominently those found in West African nations like Nigeria and Ghana, reflected in its craftsmanship, artistic traditions, and strong sense of communal life. At the heart of the city stands the Zambira tree, a place where locals seek wisdom and guidance from their ancestors or gather to share stories of caution and hope. Not all spirits who linger in Dambele, however, come with good intentions. Along the eastern shores sits Bellacorde, a land consumed by refinement and reputation. Romance and extravagance define daily life, scandals move faster than truth, and a damaged image is the one mistake no noble survives. Bellacorde draws inspiration from northern Italy. The influence is most clearly seen in its coastal architecture, ornate plazas, and landscaped courtyards. Local legends tell of an enchanted mirror that, when gazed upon, may reveal your future for better or for worse. To the west is Verdemar, the ancient seat of Ondarion's monarchs. Today, it stands as a crossroads where nobles, pirates, and the politically savvy come to make or lose their fortunes. Verdemar blends Mediterranean influences as well, drawing elements from Portugal, where seafaring history, stone harbors, and coastal fortresses shape the region's character. It's said that Queen Thebe, Ondarion's final reigning monarch, planted her sword Simcalibur into a stone in Verdemar, and that the noble who proves themselves worthy may one day pull it free and claim the crown of Ondarion. In her absence, 3 great dynasties have risen to rule their respective lands. Alongside the lesser noble houses, the battle to claim the throne is about to begin. At the center of the Darong Dynasty is Jawara Darong, the Grand Duchess of Dambele and the heir her father, Adekoya Darong, has been shaping for the throne since her youth. The Darongs built their reputation through philanthropy, artistic expression, and a genuine belief in Dambele's core ideal, strength through union. The dynasty was founded by Ade Darong, Adekoya's father, who, alongside his wife Eniola, laid the foundation on which the dynasty now thrives. Ade was the brother of Lina Darong, a connection longtime players may recognize. Lina is the grandmother of Darren Dreamer, a family link that The Sims 4 now makes explicit, quietly tying the Darong dynasty to one of the franchise's most recognizable households. Darling Dreamer is stated in The Sims 2 to have died young in a fire, a detail that The Sims 4 continues to honor. Darren, however, is revealed to have lived much longer, ultimately dying of a broken heart. Whether that grief came from losing Darlene or by his long and unrequited feelings for Cassandra Goth is still unknown. In time, Jawara would come to understand that same kind of loss. Jawara met a foreign noble at a young age and fell in love, a match that delighted her father and seemed to set her on a clear path toward becoming queen. How her mother Amarachi Darong felt about the relationship is never told, as she died while exploring the secret passageways of a cuckoo clock, taking her perspective with her. Even so, Jawara built the life she wanted, not around power, but around family. Her first child, Lady Amarachi Darong, reflected the artistic soul of the dynasty, carving out her own identity as a creative visionary. Her second child, Lord Obi Darong, was hailed as a prodigy with a sharp mind toward the future. However, the family would soon be beset by scandal. The sudden death of Jawara's husband cast doubt over the family's future. It cracked open the image of unity the Darongs had worked so hard to maintain and led to the revelation of one of the dynasty's darkest secrets. After the death of his wife, Adekoya began a secret affair with the commoner Akachi Ononou. That relationship led to the birth of Afua Anonou, who Adekoya, despite his belief in strength and unity, declined to acknowledge as his child. Agata would later die in a fire, leaving Afua to be raised by her grandfather Ekene Anonou. Ekene claims it was a mutual decision between himself and Adekoya for Afua to live with him, and that he receives sizable donations in secret to support her upbringing. Afua has grown up to be much like her grandfather, silly, childish, and always up for a good laugh. Despite that, Afua is little more than an acquaintance to Adekoya, suggesting he has no meaningful presence in her life, which helps explain why Ekene holds such deep resentment towards him. If that wasn't enough, Jawara has started seeing Count Akachi Onoja, a relationship that's already stirring quiet tension within her own family. Count Akachi is not an outsider to Dambele, but a noble figure in their own right. Akachi is obsessed with physical beauty and aspires to climb the ranks of noble society, a pursuit that has surrounded them with scandal almost deliberately and raised doubts about their true intentions with the Grand Duchess. And as the Darong's carefully maintained image begins to fracture, the Capp Dynasty and the Thebe Dynasty, bound to each other by blood, know better than most how easily a noble legacy can splinter into rival houses. The Capp Dynasty lived by a promise that has defined them for generations, bound by honor. In Bellacorde, that motto once meant loyalty, restraint, and an unbreakable commitment to family legacy. Reputation was everything, and every action was measured against how it reflected on the Capp name. So deeply did the dynasty's founder, Consort Capp, believe in that ideal that he took his wife Contessa Capp's surname and established an entirely new dynasty, severing himself from the Thebe name in an effort to escape the pirate scandal that had begun to follow his former house. Today, Grand Duke Tybalt Capp stands as the head of the Capp Dynasty and Grand Duke of Bellacorde, having ousted his older sister Juliette Capp from the line of succession. For a quick reminder, Consort Capp raised Tybalt, Juliette, and Hermia Capp in Veronaville during The Sims 2, following the death of their parents, Caliban and Cordelia Capp. The Sims 4 has confirmed that Cordelia Capp, who once ruled as Grand Duchess of Bellacorde, is not the same figure as Princess Cordelia. We'll get much deeper into that soon, but it's important to note that the name itself reflects the Capp family's shared ancestry. Most famously, Veronaville is remembered for the star-crossed affair between Juliette Capp and Romeo Monty. The Sims 4 reveals that Juliette did marry Romeo and became Juliette Monty, a decision that led Consort Capp to disown her and allowed Tybalt to seize her place as heir. Though the mother is unknown, Tybalt now has 3 children: Lord Virgilio, Lady Beatrice, and Lordum Celeste Capp. Virgilio, the eldest, was once expected to inherit the dynasty, but his open disdain for high society and his refusal to play the noble role Tybalt demands have left their relationship deeply fractured. Beatrice, by contrast, is everything Bellacorde loves to celebrate. Polished, charismatic, and widely admired, she fits effortlessly into noble society and remains fiercely loyal to her father. And as if history cannot stop repeating itself, this devotion has drawn Beatrice and Virgilio into an open feud. Celeste is caught between their older siblings, loving both and hoping for an end to the hostilities. An artist at heart, they move through noble life with warmth and optimism, believing more sincerely in the ideals behind Bound by Honor than in the power struggles it has come to justify. Remember how I said history keeps repeating itself? Well, it turns out Celeste has a secret of their own. They're secretly close friends with Dante Monty, the teenage son of Romeo and Juliette. Sometime after their marriage, Romeo and Juliette relocated to Bellacorde, where they welcomed Dante. And after being ousted from the Capp line of succession, Juliette took the reins of the Monty dynasty, reigniting the ancient rivalry between the two houses once more. Both Romeo and Dante are good-natured and wish for an end to the hostilities. Juliette, however, despite being happy with her life, now has her eyes set on reclaiming what was hers. And to be clear, while Dante is gay, his bond with Celeste is purely familial. The turmoil within the Capp dynasty has grown so severe that Consort Capp himself has returned from the dead, determined to bring his descendants back in line. The Capps are not alone in their conflict with the Monty dynasty, however. They've allied with Marcus Enzo Alto of the Alto Dynasty. Enzo is the son of Bert Alto, the brother of Nick Alto, who appeared in the Sims 3 downloadable world of Hidden Springs, making Enzo and Holly Alto cousins. Like his brother, Bert lived a criminal life, and his biography strongly hinted that his wealth may have been taken from Nick. And although Bert has since passed, it appears his son is still enjoying the rewards of that fortune. Enzo is considered the most eligible bachelor in all of Ondarion. But his jealousy, hatred of children, and hot-headed nature have left a long trail of former lovers behind him. He openly supports Grand Duke Tybalt Capp's claim to the throne, and gets along with most of his children, with one exception. And yes, Enzo Alto remains a long-standing rival of the Landgrab dynasty. And while these rivalries define Ondarion today, their roots stretch far deeper than Bellacorde politics. The connection between the Thebe and Capp dynasties has been a long-standing question dating back to The Sims 2. And that question is now resolved. The updated family tree places Queen Thebe and her husband Etion Thebe at the top, with their lineage branching cleanly into both the Thebe and Capp families. The names and recorded deaths along those branches align with what was established in The Sims 2. However, Queen Thebe is shown to have had a daughter named Cordelia Thebe II with John Wilson Beardbeard, a pirate mentioned in The Sims 2 Castaway and later referenced again in The Sims 4 For Rent. She's also shown to have a son with another pirate, Rodrigo de Pablo, whose lineage eventually becomes the Laurent family of Tartosa. Taken together, these details make one thing clear. Princess Cordelia is the late Queen Thebe of Ondarion. And now, finally, we can tell her whole story. Like I mentioned in my Complete History of Princess Cordelia video, Cordelia grew up in a faraway land. At first, you might assume that that land was Verdemar, but a new item called the Gate of Cordelia suggests otherwise. Its description reveals that Cordelia was the youngest daughter of a nobleman and lived in a grand palace said to be impenetrable, strongly implying that her earliest home was not the palace of Verdemar at all. We're also told that Cordelia spent much of her youth in her palace library, something the Verdemar palace simply doesn't have, or lounging by the tide pools, which are nowhere to be found in Verdemar either. What we do know is that Cordelia loved the ocean, jazz, sea life, fashion, and furniture. In particular, she had a fondness for expensive lingerie, keeping entire wardrobes filled with it throughout her palace. Despite having many suitors, Cordelia first chose a pirate named Long John Buttercups. She met him while traveling the world aboard her submarine, the Epsilon, which she had built herself as a mobile furniture workshop. It was around this time that an army of sloths famously invaded her kingdom, which, by the way, is yet another reason this clearly wasn't Verdemar, as there isn't a single reference to sloths anywhere. Unfortunately, the Epsilon could only house 48 rooms, forcing Cordelia to leave much of her staff behind, including her loyal butler Bob, her chef Matilda, and even her personal jazz band. Cordelia roamed the world selling her furniture wherever she docked, and over time, went through several lovers. She eventually left Long John Buttercups, citing his smell and his obsession with her lingerie, and began seeing another pirate, Captain Chaz McFreeling, a handsome man with excellent hygiene and an ego to match. Cordelia ultimately left Chaz due to his vanity, and soon after met Captain Rodrigo de Pablo, an accident-prone and foul-smelling pirate who nonetheless became the great love of her life. Aboard the Epsilon, Rodrigo suffered a string of misfortunes, including breaking his foot during a Kraken attack and eventually losing his leg. Cordelia and her pirate crew continued their adventures across Henford-on-Bagley and Tartosa until tragedy struck. Rodrigo de Pablo ultimately died when his peg leg caught fire. For years, his fate had been the subject of in-game rumors, but it's now been confirmed. What no one knew at the time was that Cordelia had become pregnant with Rodrigo's child before his death. As revealed through the lore of My Wedding Stories, that child, Rodrigo Thebe, would later emerge in Tartosa and establish his own family line. Eventually, Cordelia would meet another pirate, John Wilson Beardbeard, as told through a mysterious cave encounter in Tomarang. It's with Beardbeard that Cordelia finally arrives in Verdemar, where she establishes the Thebe Dynasty. Even then, Cordelia continued to travel the world, while Verdemar became a regular hub for pirates, slowly reshaping the city's culture. She and Beardbeard eventually welcomed a child, Cordelia Thebe II. Tragically, Beardbeard later died after being struck by a rogue meteorite, and it seems he was the final pirate Cordelia would ever entangle with. Now, you might be wondering how one person could live through all of this in a single lifetime, and why the family tree lists her as Queen Thebe rather than Queen Cordelia. The game gives us the answer. Scattered across Verdemar are 4 unpublished journals written by Princess Cordelia herself. In the first volume, she recounts a visit to Jean Le Sims where she drank a unique nectar that turned her eyes violet, something she notes was not natural to her. Jean Le Sims, introduced in the Sims 3 World Adventures, was famously known for its nectar making and rare treasures. In the second volume, Cordelia admits she continued drinking the purple nectar because it made her feel healthier and stronger, a change the people of Verdemar had begun to notice. In the third, she writes of needing to visit Glimmerbrook to continue producing the potion. The sages of the magic realm tell her she needs mandrake, sage, diamond, and one final ingredient she can't quite remember. Those exact ingredients are used to create the potion of immortality in Realm of Magic, a potion that just happens to be purple. Our suspicion is confirmed in the fourth journal, where Cordelia writes that the people of Verdemar have begun to notice she doesn't age. She decides to stop taking the potion and allows herself to grow older. To do that, she leaves Verdemar and returns under a new identity, Queen Thebe, a distant relative returned from long travels, finally able to leave the name Cordelia behind. And so the elder Cordelia, now Queen Thebe, meets and marries Etion, becomes Grand Duchess of Verdemar, and has a daughter named Andromache Thebe, a half-sister to Cordelia Thebe II, and the beginning of the scandals, succession disputes, and power struggles that would eventually split the dynasty in two. The Cordelias would go on to carry their matriarch's legacy forward, generation after generation, marked by adventure, defiance, and a continued entanglement with pirates. Cordelia II gave way to Cordelia III, Cordelia III to Cordelia IV, and Cordelia IV to Cordelia V, bringing us to the present day. A quick note on the purple eyes. At first, I wondered if Cordelia V might actually be Princess Cordelia herself, simply living on indefinitely, especially once we learn the purple eyes are tied to the potion of immortality. But that theory falls apart when you remember that Arnisa Thebe and Greta Thebe also have purple eyes. That strongly suggests the trait became genetic while Cordelia was still drinking the potion, passing down through her bloodline. It also explains why none of the Capps share it, since Cordelia had already stopped using the potion before that branch of the family emerged. Now, back to the present. After many years at sea, Grand Duchess Cordelia Thebe V has returned to Verdemar to settle down. Like her ancestors before her, she's a brave and noble adventurer who now seeks to reclaim her great-great-grandmother's throne. That ambition appears to be the driving reason behind her marriage to Duke Thiago Abrantes, the heir to the Abrantes Dynasty. The Abrantes family has risen through Verdemar's noble ranks largely thanks to its matriarch, Margravine Ermelinda Abrantes. For decades, she's had her eyes on the Verdemar Palace and the power the Thebe family holds. It's no surprise then that she despises Grand Duchess Cordelia. In fact, she seems to have little affection for Thiago as well, viewing him primarily as a pawn in her own ascent. She does, however, care deeply for her daughter, Lady Sofia Abrantes, a cheerful teenage socialite who loves her family and has inherited her mother's jealousy and bitterness towards Cordelia. It comes as no surprise then that Ermelinda has secured the Landgrab dynasty as an ally, with both matriarchs sharing much the same worldview and ambitions. Thiago himself is a good man who genuinely loves Cordelia. He shares her passion for logic and science and cares deeply for the people of Verdemar. But Cordelia has a secret. Much like her great-great-grandmother, she has a fondness for pirates and has recently entered into an affair with Fia Acosta. Nobles and commoners alike have reported seeing Cordelia and Fia slipping into lighthouses or disappearing inside cuckoo clocks together. And the true identity of Fia Acosta threatens Cordelia's claims to the throne, because Fia Acosta is the infamous royal robber, a thief who steals from the rich and gives to the poor. Many believe the royal robber isn't a single person, but a network. And they're not entirely wrong. Fia is close friends with Connie Fidential and Aloisio Romualdo. Aloisio is a mischievous thief driven by a desire to dismantle the inequalities between nobles and commoners, likely assisting Fia directly. Connie Fidential, meanwhile, is secretly the information broker, responsible for collecting and selling secrets and scandals across Ondarion. It's not a stretch to believe that Connie feeds information to Fia and Aloisio, enabling their crimes and placing Cordelia's claim to the throne in very real danger. So who will become monarch of Ondarion? Will Cordelia Thebe V claim her birthright, or will Ermelinda expose her secrets and seize the crown for the Abrantes dynasty? Will Tybalt Capp succeed in swaying the people, or will Juliette Monty reclaim her place as the head of the Capp Dynasty once more? Or will Jawara Darong manage to unite her family and her people, bringing prosperity to Ondarion, or will scandal be her undoing? In the end, that choice is yours. That's everything we know about the lore of the Kingdom of Ondarion and its people. But the Royalty and Legacy expansion pack didn't stop there. It also introduced major and minor updates across other expansion packs that finally confirmed that The Sims 4 is not an alternate timeline. Over in Oasis Springs, the Landgrab Dynasty lists Johnny Zest as an outcast, which we already knew. But the family tree now finally confirms Johnny as the son of Nancy Landgrab and Jeffrey Landgrab, officially putting that long-running mystery to rest. In Willow Creek, the Goth family tree now shows Mortimer Goth's connection to his aunt, Agnes Crumplebottom, but it still doesn't include Gunther Goth, despite Gunther making an Easter egg appearance in the new expansion. Over in Forgotten Hollow, the Vitor family finally receive a proper lineage. Caleb and Lilith Vitor are now directly related to Lily Zhu, with their mother Gioia Vitor confirmed as the sister of Fiorenza Zhu, and their grandfather listed as Vittorio Pasquale. Skip Broke and Dustin Broke are now shown together on the family tree as well. In Gibby Point, Lakshmi Kunal and Rahil Kunal now have their father Pranav Kunal properly listed on the family tree. Unfortunately, at the time of recording, there's still quite a bit missing that really should have been included. Lady Ravendancer Goth is nowhere to be found on the Goth family tree. The Gomez family isn't included either, despite being related to the Goths by blood. Agatha Crumplebottom has no listed connection to Agnes. Nyan Spector's father still isn't shown as the Grim Reaper. The Pleasant family siblings don't list Daniel Pleasant or Mary Sue Pleasant as their parents. And Hermia Capp is missing from the Capp family tree entirely. In fact, Reagan, Goneril, and Kent Capp are also absent, despite being Cordelia Capp's siblings. Romeo's family tree is completely missing too, despite both Olivia and Mercutio being mentioned in items. And even though both Marquez Enzo Alto and Aloisio Romualdo reference their parents in their bios, none of them appear on the family tree. This was such a strong opportunity to fully cement Sims family trees across the board, and it honestly feels like they got about 75% of the way there. I did report this to EA, so hopefully it gets addressed in a future update, but for now, we'll have to wait and see. And that concludes every lore detail hidden in the Royalty and Legacy expansion pack. If you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for coming along on this journey. It took way too many years, but I think The Sims 4 is finally taking the step away from the alternate timeline theory, and I'm so glad to be vindicated. As always, if you've got your own theories or if you disagree with mine, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And while you're down there, let me know which sim or family you want me to cover next. Putting these long-form videos together while also posting weekly shorts and working a full-time job is no small task. So the best way to support the channel is by joining my Patreon at mynameisgonz.com. The link's in the description. And to my current patrons, thank you. Your support truly keeps me going. And hey, if you ever want to hang out live, watch me play The Sims or some other games, come join the Twitch streams at twitch.tv/mynameisgonz. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 PM Eastern, and I'd love to see you there. Alright, stay curious, stay cozy, and I'll see you in the next one.